Byfield, and this is Art Speak Studio in Dallas, Texas, where we offer classes online and in the studio, mostly in watercolor. And today I want to talk about artist statements and how artists write about the work that they make. I recently went to an art show in the area, and the artwork were assemblages of nostalgic memorabilia left over from the 50s and 60s and perhaps the 70s. And they were accumulated and put together in a way that was very difficult to understand and somewhat inexplicable most of the time. And so, in the hopes that the artist would provide some context, I read the artist statement. The statement was evidently intended to be just as confusing as the artwork itself. And all I really got from the statement was that the world is a very absurd place, that things are created, it's a consumerist culture, but how all of this fits together, I really couldn't tell. Just so you can see for yourself, here is a paragraph out of the artist statement. The white middle, upper, other classes examined have been recorded in both the good and bad books of history and consequently flushed out of the birth canals of the unimaginative landfill's progress. Facsimiles with objective meanings defy our understanding in the rubbish now, yet provide proof positive of who we were, who we are, and what we mostly still want to be. So uselessly useful in their time now become utilitarian fine art again for their utilitarian purpose in the third place. Artistic alchemical license has freely given the artist a full-on, all-out, all-American stratagem with these junk store findings. America in its most peculiar vintage hour. American in its final artistic process. All this tells us is that he is combining a lot of mid-century promotional and advertising materials together in some kind of a way that evokes some nostalgia, but also is supposed to tell us something about the culture from which we come. I'm just not sure what it's supposed to tell us, which leads us to the question, what is an artist statement for? If you look up artist statements, you will see a lot of advice about writing something that is coherent, logical, very clear, free of jargon, that gives the reader some kind of insight into the work that you are doing. It should talk about the materials you use and what kinds of concepts attract you and what you expect people to take away from the work that you're creating. It should explain what compels you to make art and what you are trying to say in your work. After reading your artist statement, the reader must have some idea of what they could expect if they looked at your work and a context for which to view it and understand it. There should be some sense that they will be able to anticipate what they might see if they saw the piece itself. Artists need to be able to provide a context for their work, and the artist statement is the beginning. With an artist statement, you can explain what it is that compels you to be creating art and what you're hoping the viewers are going to be taking away. You can explain what you find as common themes, subjects that attract you, and why. The goal is to build your audience and motivate them to want to see more of your work. I also recently saw a really interesting exhibition at the Amon Carter Museum in Fort Worth. And the artist is a Pakistani American who is combining cultural references and modern materials in a way that is really unique and interesting. She relies on shape, she relies on light, and she's creating these very interesting sensual pieces that make you think about the cultures together in an interesting way. Here's a part of the description of her work. Pakistani American multidisciplinary artist Anila Qayyam Aga's sculptures are created from intricately cut steel illuminated by a single light source, dramatically filling the room with ornate patterns of light and shadow. Bridging modern and traditional materials with historic and contemporary meanings, her work weaves through complex themes of global politics, social and gender roles, and mass media, while simultaneously creating a contemplative, welcoming space that draws you in. Do you see the difference? When you read her description, you will anticipate the kinds of works that you see, which are shadow shapes on the wall, a very quiet and spiritual type of space. People have a tendency to whisper and quietly look at the work. And the artist statement sets that tone. I encourage you, as you think about writing your own artist statement, look at what is in common in your work. There are always common themes, subjects that draw you, colors that you choose to use, ways that you apply the materials, compositional devices that you use. All of those things are part of the meat that would go into an artist statement. Try to write an artist statement that does not substitute for your artwork, because a piece of art should not be able to be expressed entirely in words, unless it's conceptual, but that illuminate the work, that provide it with context and enhance the meanings that the audience will take away. I hope you've enjoyed this short Art Speak Studio moment and that the information will be helpful to you. And we will look forward to seeing you again in another Art Speak Studio moment. In the meantime, happy painting.